the minimal amount of internet I get.
Oh,
So
yeah. Do you only have like one option for ISP?
there is only one company in this area. They have a nice little monopoly.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a monopoly? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I
What
mean,
used to
localized at least, yeah, definitely. It's
localized
the same.
monopoly? Yeah, like in this, it might even be the whole county, but at least the city that I'm in,
Yeah.
it's just one. And I won't mention the company because I don't want to get on the wrong end of the spectrum here. But um,
I think I get where you're getting at.
we'll cut that joke out.
Cut it out in post.
We'll
No,
cut
I
that out.
appreciate
We'll
it.
cut that
My
out.
one of my roommates from tech, he's had plenty of experiences, shall we say, with that nondescript company that you were mentioning, and
Yeah.
it's bad. Like I've never heard of one that's worse, frankly.
This is the Experience Podcast with me and someone else.
I am the someone else again.
Yeah, we got Chase here. He's back. Been a couple months, right?
I think so. God,
Yeah.
honestly, I'm losing track of time a little bit. So
I don't know anymore. I don't know what day it is. It's Thursday or is it? Felt like yesterday. It felt like Saturday. So I don't. I was like, oh, tomorrow's Sunday. No, I don't think so. I will apologize to listeners. Past week we did not have an episode due to scheduling conflicts. We'll call it. But we'll be back to weekly. Hopefully, we won't have to miss anymore. But busy times, people get busy. Chase, what have you been up to? Why have you been so busy?
just work, traveling in between parts of my job, and other than that, not really been all that busy. It's just
Oh,
another month.
yeah. Uh, Closing in on summer. It's almost 40 degrees here, so
Oh
we're
yeah,
getting there.
it's already hot down here in Georgia.
We're trending up to it's 40 degrees right now. It's hot. We're at summer, right? Um, and tonight, and if you want to talk about the draft, we're recording right now, right in the middle of
Middle
the
of the first
first
round, yeah.
round. If that's something you want to cover, if you had something else you wanted to talk about.
I mean, I don't know. The draft is there's so much content leading up to the draft. If you're really into that, it's I feel like everyone just consumes so much of the draft before it actually happens, and then it's like, oh, this is what actually happened. All right, next up, next thing to be afraid of, or next thing to be obsessed with.
Yeah, so I was talking to someone who doesn't really follow sports at all, right? So
Mhm.
I guess someone mentioned in passing to him at work today, like, "Hey, the draft's tonight." Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. First of all, he didn't know what sport it was. He's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
there's some draft." So he Google's draft and he calls me up. He's like, "What are all this? What's a mock draft? Like, what does that even mean? Do they pretend to have the draft?" And I was like, "No, no, no. So it's like a media person, who goes in and predicts which pack." And he's like, "That's stupid." I'm like, "Yeah, it kind of is stupid." He's
yeah, it
like, "Why
is,
would
and
people
it's
look at that?" And I'm like, well, you pretend you're a fan of a team, and you want to know who you're gonna. And he's like, "No, this is all stupid." I'm like, "Yeah, the whole
that's sports
draft,
though. It's a
the whole."
multi-million-dollar entity every year is the mock draft complex or whatever
I,
you'd called it.
that's what I was telling him. I was like, it's the best clickbaity headline, headlines
Yeah,
and all that. Everyone clicks on them. They get plenty of content out of it because you can do one every day and you can be completely wrong, but no one cares. You just
your
because you did
forecast
it.
accuracy is even worse than the weather, and everyone praises you for it. Hey, you
Yeah,
got 15% of it correct. You must be a
and
genius.
this is not just fair. Obviously companies got to do what they have to do, and there are mock drafters that are certainly more accurate than others and put in the research. It's just funny to explain the idea of the whole, like you said, the whole build up and the lead up to really something that's kind of weird, right? It's like you're
Mhm.
drafting people to their jobs, but like
Yeah.
no other organization in the country has people coming right out of college into like a pool where you get selected by the companies in order, in some weird, structuralized order, where you don't get to choose where you go to work. So
Yeah, no, it's if you play ball well enough though, that's what gets you into this weird system we've constructed. And apparently people are, it sells people on the idea of hope. So, my franchise has a 5% chance of getting better this year. It's basically a long drawn out pregame, months in advance.
yeah, yeah. I like how Goodell just embraces the booze now. He's full on like, yeah, I'm gonna get booed, and
This is a heel program
every
now. I'm just leaning into it.
yeah. I mean, like now he's like, look, I got some. He's always like, look, I got some people with me. I got Darren Waller. Darren Waller's like, yeah, I'm on the stage. What are we doing?
It,
Draft? I don't even think.
they had
Yeah.
a minute ago. They had this weird advertisement thing going on. They got Tony Gonzalez up there talking to Austin Eckler about like they were. It's like they were cutting a promo on a game that was happening to begin the season or something, which is weird because don't you know what's going to happen anyway? Like guys are going to get you hyped like 5 months before the season's starting.
So long, so far in advance. But they got to space it out. They got money.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it makes a
uh,
lot of money.
incredible how much money they spend. Like just watching, like all these people are in this. You're in a huge conference center. They said there's like what 100,000 fans there or whatever. Do you have to pay to go? Because I know like they give like all the people that are there are season ticket holders, right?
I
Or the
guess I actually
fans.
don't know enough about it, but I would assume.
I heard Goodell say we got all our season ticket holders here, and he's basically pointing to everyone, like all the
Hmm.
people that you see on the whatever in the crowd. Like I think that's the thing. I don't know if they pay to go. Yeah, I don't know. Like yeah, you have to pay to go, or they do it as a nice thing. I don't know. Feels like a
Yeah,
lot to go,
yeah, I'm not
and
sure.
especially if you're traveling. What's great is like if you go there, you're big diehard fan. You travel to wherever the draft is that year, and then your team trades out of the first round. You never see a pick. I'm a Seahawks fan. They drafted this year, but usually they trade out of the first round. But
Usually they take
it's just
some
fun.
obscure player nobody ever heard of in the first round.
Yeah, yeah. As like a linebacker or running back. Okay. Anything else on the draft? I guess.
No, I don't know. It's the annual overblown, overhyped experience. I just at this point I follow it just to have fun with friends when that comes on. But it's like,
Yeah,
wow,
it sounds like we're poo-pooing the draft, but it is a fun experience, if you just
oh yeah, yeah.
don't take it too seriously and you don't, you know, stress yourself out. I mean, depending on what kind of fan you are and all that, but
That and it
sometimes
is
it's just
fun.
fun. Like,
It is fun to see the handful of picks, especially in the first round, that you just know are bad immediately, and you just marvel at a multi-million dollar company like any of these NFL teams are basically the equivalent of a multi-million dollar company blundering capital away for everyone to gawk at. It's a spectacle, and you just see, oh my God, they just drafted a third round quarterback at 5 overall. And then 3 years
it's
later, everyone's getting fired. It's like, oh well, wonder who could have seen that one coming.
yeah, I mean, and they have so many people, well, for the most part, with the exception of like the Bengals, these are huge departments. They got tons of people working for them and they still find ways to do that. Um, I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something else, but lost it. I'll get it eventually. Yeah, it's wow. What was it?
Something about the
Say
draft.
something. Just say something. Just say it'll
Multi
come to me.
company, multi-million dollar blunder.
I don't know.
Daniel Jones. What?
Oh, like I was gonna say. I was gonna say. Like trades are always fun, right? Like trade ups and trade downs. Let's just see
Yeah,
like, well, who are they trading up for and all that.
yeah.
They actually just had good trades.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of research around. I think like the most interesting thing about the draft, honestly, is like the research that goes into it. Seeing it's just like a giant gamble. It's like a gambling market, and you're figuring out what's the value you're giving up in terms of nothing tangible, but literally just you're giving up probability for other probability is basically what you're giving up. It's like no other market I've seen works like that.
I mean, you're also giving up money, right? Just because of surplus value and how much you're paying
Yeah,
players
for
on
NF,
rookie deals and contracts and sort of that sort of thing too. So there is a money, there's a
yeah,
financial aspect, but yeah, a lot of it's like, yeah, you're trading probabilities, right? Like that's it for the most part.
yeah,
And like, there's so much research that trading up is bad, and teams still do it. But again, that's the fun of it.
hmm
Trading up for a non-quarterback.
yep,
We just had like three trade ups in a row, right?
yeah, yeah. I was watching it a little bit earlier before I hopped on, and the Saints had traded up. They gave it like they
Yeah, the
traded
line.
one of their picks into the first, like they traded a couple picks to get into the first round again, and then they traded up again from that pick to take a wide receiver. They ended up like trading three picks for one wide receiver, which is like just wait like four picks or however long it was, just take the guy who falls to you.
Yeah. Which and they didn't even take the first wide receiver in the draft too. They took the third one.
Yeah,
So they traded up for their third. I guess. Well, maybe they thought he was the best, but still,
yeah,
the NFL overall, let's say, thought was the third best wide receiver. Um, yeah, and then the Lions traded up, way up from 32 all the way to 12 to take a wide receiver, which
oh, I missed that one. Yeah, I guess they did.
they just traded up for Jameson Williams. And then the Eagles traded up only a few spots. And, Howie Roseman usually does a pretty good job at that, at draft pick value and that sort of stuff. He's the one that traded with the Saints. So, uh, yeah, I mean, a bit of a run on wide receivers, which makes sense, right? Just given the state of the NFL, it's a passing league, that sort of
Yep.
thing. I guess, you could make a case it's the second or third most premium position in the league, right? Maybe edge rusher or left tackle.
Yeah, and
And
you
then
had
it's like,
and this year you had two corners in the top five, one right after another. It just shows you like I think people
yeah,
are looking at that Chiefs Bills game, the playoffs last year. They're like, oh my God, how in the world do we stop this?
we don't have any of this. It's funny looking at that, and then you got like the Seahawks who want to do their own thing, and the Patriots who are, those sort of teams or even the Colts to an extent are just look like they are playing in a different era compared to that.
Yeah, I wonder if in
Just
the
the not having
future
this.
there's going to be like room for a team to do that and really win because if the league adopts a certain meta like the passing game as a meta and you are able to exploit the traditional stuff running being good enough at the pass or whatever that actually gives you an edge. But thus far, I mean, the value you just get by passing is so much higher than even the best running teams that there's no point.
Yeah,
It's nice to have,
like
but
I think we already saw this though last year. Like, wasn't that what the Patriots were, or they tried to be, rather?
yeah, yeah. But also, I mean, the Patriots were only a playoff team because they had a pretty good rookie quarterback, all things considered, and they had a good enough passing game. So I even then
Yeah.
like
No, yeah. But they were the second run heaviest team in the league, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably them and
just
probably the
I,
Colts.
I'm spinning out a random number. The Nem or maybe it was I don't remember exactly, but whatever. They were one of the most run heavy teams in neutral situations last year. So and they made the playoffs, and like you mentioned, the Colts also high on run heavy, and to an extent, both teams may be protecting their quarterback, right? Their quarterbacks for different reasons, obviously. One for inexperience, and the other for maybe too much experience. But yeah, my point, I guess, is like we already kind of saw this, like teams trying to take advantage of perhaps an inefficiency, and I don't think it works, or at least it doesn't work right now.
Yeah, I think
Like,
there's too much variety still in the league that you have because you have to be like one of a handful of teams that's good enough at it to exploit like a near universal weakness in every other team. And I think the only team that's come close to doing that is like the 49ers because they run kind of this unique run scheme offense. But even then, like the years that they've not had Jimmy be at least average, they've gone nowhere. So, you know, you're right.
yeah,
I just
they
don't.
they their rushing offense really like it looks cool, it's stylistic, but they don't really they've been kind of like above average in rushing during the Kyle Shanahan era. Like what's made them great, surprisingly, has been Garoppolo. When he's
Yeah,
healthy, has been effective for the team.
I think he's underrated. I mean, he's never like Jimmy's never going to be this top 10, in this era
Yeah,
of
that's
just
not what I'm saying.
aliens playing quarterback. He's never going to be top 10, but he's going to be like he fits their scheme really well. He's really good on third down, which Kyle, I mean, he always is going to get in those third down situations because he's going to run more on early downs. So, I mean, and that's kind of, when you have a quarterback, you recognize his skill set, and yeah, he could certainly do better. And it's trying to do that with Trey Lance, but I think there's certain value to having a guy who's just going to be consistent and who's going to give you those value plays in crunch time. And that's what Jimmy's done. So a little underrated at this point, I think.
Yeah, and then we'll see what team he plays for this year too. I think it'd be hilarious if plays for the 49ers the whole year.
Back, yeah, it's like, sorry, nobody wanted me. I'm coming back for another year.
3 first-round picks for Trey Lance. Okay, anything else? Texans took a guard because, of course they did.
We also, if you don't want to, belabor football, because God knows every time I'm on, all we do is football. But we can do whatever. I'm happy to do
Yeah,
whatever.
what do you got? What do you got? Kyle Wright, is he good?
Who?
It's a Braves baseball pitcher.
Oh, sorry. I should clarify. The only sport I actually watch seriously is
I know,
football.
I know. That's more of a jab at Noah.
Oh, what
I
did?
mentioned Kyle Wright on a few podcasts ago, and he's like, "No, he's terrible." I'm like, "I think he's good now."
Oh,
Um,
no.
I
I
was
missed
joking.
that guy,
Anyway,
man. He
huh?
was quite a
Yeah,
personality.
should have. I think I asked him to come on. He was busy tonight.
What's he doing
He's
now?
just
I haven't seen a lot of
he's doing
people
stuff.
from.
He's still in Atlanta. He types on a computer all day. I'll say that.
So most of us at this point.
I guess so. Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't seen. I haven't met anybody from band and ever since I graduated, and I think you and Anuj are the only trumpets that I've kept in contact with thus far.
Yeah, it can be tough, right? And in a way, the podcast helps with that.
Oh, that's good.
Just
Yeah.
forcing people to talk, to break their normal routine. That's the whole point. Trying to break people down. Um,
Tear them to pieces.
so what's your long-term future? You gonna stay in the state of Georgia?
Oh
Not
God.
gonna. I know you love it
Long
there.
term, yeah, I guess I've thought of, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what long term looks like at all. I've contemplated um, at some point returning for like a PhD in physics. I would want that to be probably in my 30s. Like right now, I'm kind of set on
Coming up.
experiencing. Yeah, God, it's closer than you think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially time. God, the pandemic, like with the pandemic just going by, you just realize how fast the candle's burning a little bit, which is a
I
little
was 20
scary.
years old last year. Like,
Yeah, no kidding.
I, I was 18 like 2 months ago, right? It
I still
feels
I
like
still
that.
vividly remember freshman year of college, and that was 7 fucking years ago at this point. Like, okay,
Yeah.
it can slow down
Yeah.
anytime, but yeah, no, it's
That's a lifetime. 11 years ago for freshman year of high school.
high school. Yeah, and I think is you could like the perception of time accelerates over time. So when you're 20, life moves at a certain pace. It was much slower when you were 15, and it's even faster when you're 25. But I don't know. Also, I think part of it is you got to live in the moment more, and God, it's hard to do that when you're just like terminally online or busy with jobs or whatever. And
When the
so
moment
time
is
just
like a Zoom meeting. Yeah.
God, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of value in in-person stuff. That's definitely a lesson I learned from the pandemic was you take for granted just meeting people, and that's just such a critical part of human communication. Not everything is ever going to be accomplished through a webcam or a podcast or something. Although it doesn't hurt, certainly.
Yeah. For the record, we are recording this online.
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah.
It's
No, we've got to we got to transcribe this for the Telegram. You know,
the last in-person podcast was probably what? Yeah, like 3 years ago. It feels like. No, that can't be right. 2 years ago, probably March 2020.
before the shutdown stuff, probably.
Yeah. Well, also when I was still in Georgia.
Oh yeah, I actually didn't know when you moved. Was that 2020? I'm assuming.
That was summer 2020. Yeah, right after I graduated. Again, I guess.
Yeah.
Never went to that graduation. I just felt like it wasn't worth it. They put it like on a random Friday, I guess, in December. That sounds weird when I say it. It was just basically they lumped that spring 2020 graduation into the winter one,
Oh yeah.
and so to me it feels like a random Friday. It was like early December, so I wouldn't have been able to make it because I wasn't in the state anymore.
Yeah, for my bachelor's, I actually didn't walk because I was so done at that point. I'm like, who cares?
The bachelor's
Yeah, my degree. I got my degree in 2019. I was like,
that was pre-pandemic. Yeah,
that's true. You didn't get a
before.
choice, but
Yeah,
speaking of which, I feel like
essentially.
we're gonna start referring to things kind of like BC, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic.
You can't, yeah, I guess those both start with P though. We got to find another. We'll figure that out. Yeah, we'll figure that out later.
Figure a way to make PPE into it. Post-pandemic era. It
PPE
fits. It fits
post
with the
pandemic
theme.
area. That's good. That works. That works. Yeah, we'll figure that out. Yeah, I don't know. It's different, I guess, for me because I haven't like my job never went remote,
Mhm.
so in a way, it's I guess more normal. But in some ways, you kind of feel like you're missing out on that. Like it's incredibly strange the way I guess I'm saying this, but like you feel like you're missing out on the missing out part of the band.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
like
I never
society, right? Yeah, like everything is closing down, going remote.
feel
It's a new
like
way of life, but you're
never
doing
had
things
that.
as
Yeah,
if it never happened.
kind
Like
of, yeah, right? Like I never
except
had
the
the
rest of
work
the
from home.
world. Yeah,
I haven't
except like
worked
the
from
rest of
home
the
at
world's
all.
doing that.
Yeah, so it's a bit jolting when not jolting, but uh I guess interesting just hearing people go like, well, we've all been online. I'm like, we all haven't, not all of
Not
us.
all of us. Not all people online.
There's people. I think I actually this is again this is straight out of me conjecture. I have no idea. I don't have a source on this, but I think it was something like only 30 to 40% of people were worked online, like fully online, or I guess remote, I should say. Like it wasn't even a majority.
Mhm.
That might be wrong. Like it wasn't. It like but the point was it wasn't like everyone ever. So, and we don't have to get into like this socioeconomic. Uh, yeah, just point to bring up. So how's your remote work? You still you still remote?
God, so my company is weird because I I was supposed to go back to the office. So I was hired on remote temporarily because we were still shut down, and soon after I was hired, we were supposed to go back to offices. Well, the infrastructure of our company, the people who do warehouse stuff, um, they went back and they've been back permanently because they're on site. But our the office crew basically for my team, they kind of play fast and loose with it. Like some days they like to work remote. A lot of times they're in meetings or they're doing a bunch of different stuff, coordinating everything. And so I moved up to near the Smyrna area to be close to the office. So because I was under the impression, and so was my boss at the time. We were under the impression, okay, I'll go into the office and talk with them now, however many days they were going to do it. But even now, like nobody's there. Like they're all, they all do. They're all doing their own thing, and frankly, it's kind of frustrating communication wise because there's kind of a breakdown of communication sometimes in this company, and so information gets to me later than it should. Um, and so we're not really like I work most of the time remotely, which again it's good and bad in a way, but I really wish I didn't like if I knew that we were going to have this weird hybrid schedule or whatever moving forward, I would have just said like, look, I'm not moving up there. That was uh, a big move to a place I was totally unfamiliar with, and I would have just like stayed in Atlanta or in my hometown in Macon and just worked remotely from there because I guess I don't need to be there.
Yeah, I do think like the hybrid model is probably the optimal model for working. Like to
Yeah.
take, doing both, right? Like you get to go in, maybe going into quote unquote the office like a couple times a week. Like that's probably best for most people. But
Mhm.
as you kind of highlighted, I think the flexibility is probably uh,
Oh, it's great. Yeah, like
most desired.
ideally, yeah, like it's I can. This company's pretty lenient with that as long as you get work done, and which I appreciate. I would say like I have pushed to see if we can like meet once a week as a team because we would actually like a lot of people on my team are older, in their 40s and 50s. They have kids and all kinds of stuff, so they're not as online as our generation, obviously, so they're not as comfortable doing like chats and um, you know it's a generation gap in that regard. So I think there would be a lot of value in a lot of companies just like sitting down once a week at least and saying, okay, here's let's get on the same page here, and then we can work there, which I think we'll probably go to, and I think a lot of companies will probably go to that. I think remote work in general is here to stay. Probably the hybrid, like you said, the hybrid schedule is probably here to stay, unless you're like an on-site, you're doing physical labor for a company, and obviously you have to be there. But a lot of
Exactly.
these
Yeah.
a lot of these office
Go
jobs,
ahead.
most of them, can be hybridized. Most of them can be done a little of column A and B, and save everybody the headaches of some of the traffic and pollution and money and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Like pollution, yeah, office space, right?
Hmm.
So, and everything that gets associated with that, construction and all that, right? Um, tra you know, traffic. It does make sense, and at least from that perspective. I guess sorry, I got a little distracted here. There were a couple big wide receiver trades. Do you want to hear them?
Oh, sure. I haven't been paying attention, honestly.
No, it's just caught. It was in the. So Marquise Brown was traded to the
Really?
Cardinals for the 23rd pick,
Really?
and that's not the
Wow.
craziest one. AJ Brown traded to the Eagles for a
What?
first and a third. For a first and a third
No way.
this year.
Oh, okay. I mean, my
Nuts.
first thought is, what the hell are they doing? Like, what the Titans they just lost their postseason. Like,
Okay, number one seed, right?
well, you go for. Oh my God. Yeah,
It's
I'm not
incredible.
gonna get. I'm not gonna go into that. All I'll say about this is that is just I fail to see how that's an intelligent move at this time.
Titans Titans took Traylon Burks at that pick
Traylon
that they got.
Burks.
Yeah, I like Traylon Burks. Sorry, just
I
an aside.
again,
Um,
multi-million dollar companies blundering on national television.
yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But
Maybe they get lucky, and maybe
yeah,
they have a backup plan that's like longer term that's actually working out. I don't know.
like
We'll,
like
we'll see.
this is the Justin Jefferson model, right? Like
Mhm.
a lot of things have to go right. Because like when you look at it, like the Vikings made out on that trade, the Justin
Yeah, yeah.
Jefferson 7X, just because even though like both Jefferson and Diggs have both been very good, again, like I mentioned earlier, the surplus value paying Jefferson, what was he making? Like 4 million a year, and Diggs is now making over 20. Like, the Vikings um, made out on that, but this is a pretty big bet. Basically the same bet, right? First and a third for AJ Brown. All right, so Debo Samuel, where is he going?
Oh yeah, I forgot he's disgruntled. God, who knows?
I'm kidding. All right. Uh, sorry. Go back. We're done with the draft. I'm not doing that anymore.
Keep
What else you got going
again.
on?
This is what you have to tell your coworker, right? It's like, how can you idiots talk about this, and then here we are, in the middle of a podcast. It's like gossip.
But
It's literally like,
it's just content.
yeah,
I love the content machine. What else you got going on? Anything else you wanted to cover tonight? We're in the deep parts of the night now. At least it feels like it.
deep 10 o'clock.
It's like 10 o'clock. I don't know. It's
Oh, see, so I mean, if I remember right, you're more of like
12 p.m.
you go to sleep early and wake up early, right?
Well, now my job, I go back and forth between days and nights
Oh God,
constantly.
my
So
condolences.
I just coming off a night shift.
Jesus, I'm
Uh,
sorry. Night shift is rough.
it's like I haven't found the best way to optimize transitioning back to days.
Dude, I'll tell you,
Right?
I did temp work when I was younger. Part of it was nights, and I also have family who worked in healthcare. And she used to do exclusively night shift, and there is just a way to do it. You can't undo your circadian rhythm enough to have that line up. Uh,
Yeah.
it's just not natural, and it's not something that can last. I definitely offer my condolences. Hard.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer. Like I figured I'll do this job while I'm still young. Although, as we discussed, we're now old. But um,
That
like I'm
accrues to
I'm
me
okay with
too.
it.
if we went back to band and talked to whoever's in the band now, the old thing applies now, and that just blows my mind because it was literally yesterday, right? And we were, "Oh, what is this? We're 20 and it's
Yeah.
second year. We're calling Kuyo old, and
Okay, but he's old. I saw him
oh,
like
he's
last year, this past fall. He's like 45 now, right? Ryan's like,
he was a fifth when we got there freshman year, I think.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, like he was old when we got there. So it tells you, yeah. So
My God,
he's got to be. Oh yeah, so he's probably 30 now, right? Yeah, or
jeez,
at
that
least close 29. Yeah, maybe 29.
wow, that's a little existential moment there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Start taking a look at Social Security. Yeah.
All right, old man, it's time to buy your 401k before inflation ruins it, because you're
Oh yeah,
basically one foot in the grave.
mine's a mess this year. I don't really touch it, but I looked at it for the first time in a while, like last week, and I was like, yeah, we're in the red.
I don't
Not
think
doing
we're old
great.
enough to care, honestly. Like, oh,
That's what yeah, like that.
these numbers mean so much later on, but
Yeah, that's
I
what
mean
it, yeah.
now,
I hinted at that when I said it. Been a while, but yeah, like I don't really look at it. Well, like since I last looked at it, so I don't really. Sorry, I'm probably doing okay now. I don't know. Money goes places, in, out, whatever.
numbers get moved from one Excel spreadsheet to another.
Yeah, yeah, it's all just numbers on a computer. Like, what's anything? Okay, we can wrap. We're in that part of the podcast. I guess we should probably wrap up soon. Um,
Mhm.
unless there was something else you wanted to mention.
Oh no, I
Anything
mean,
you got going on in the future? Any big? You going on a trip? You going
oh God, I don't know.
accomplishments?
I think near future, I got to figure out if I'm staying where I'm at in Smyrna. I'm probably moving. I'm going to figure out what my company's doing, like concrete. And if I'm just going to be permanently remote, I'm just going to move away. I'll drive up there occasionally if you need me. But uh, other than that, like, I guess one thing I just want to do is in this post-pandemic world, uh, definitely go out and meet more people. Be outside, be more active. Try things I've never done before, because that I feel like the last couple of years the opportunity to do that just hasn't been there, and especially like after college, when that's done, you're just not. It's not as easy anymore, right?
Yeah.
So actually getting out and doing that. What about you?
Try to go to sleep more. Probably it. Yeah, meeting people's tough. I'm in like a small town. I guess kind of analogous to like a Macon. Like it's a small town city in upstate New York, and basically all the people I know are from work. What's that? You're breaking up, unless I'm breaking up. But one more time, Chase. Well, all right. I can't hear him, so let's assume it's not my fault. Uh, thanks for listening, people. We'll end it there. Yeah.